You're listening to Unplugged with Nicki Marie. When people ask me why I named this Unplugged, because I was freaking toast a few years ago and I wanted to be unplugged, and little did I know it would lead to an entire brand of let's connect, let's feel seen and heard, and let's have some fun. Unplugged with Nicki Marie in 2024. This was supposed to happen in 2021. But no time like the present, baby. We're here. We're doing it. We're in a full circle moment. I'm not going to lie. The stuff that's on my mind right now is how this studio came into fruition through another local content creator, Ian Brownhill, shout out, does his podcast from here. I was his guest one day and I was like, I feel like I need this space. A space is something I need in order to go to make it feel real. So I'm here and I'm driving down the street and I start getting the lip quiver. I'm emotional because this was where I bought my first home, on this same street. And this is where my life started with my ex-husband. And during the pandemic and during my divorce is when I took to content. So you get what I'm saying? I'm here because of my divorce, and it's on Westminster Street, which was my first home. So I'm feeling all the feels because that's what us moms do. It's back to school season. We miss our kids, but we also need the break. We're divorced. We're coming out of the excuse of being divorced, because that was like a big part of me that was stuck onto me for so long. It was like, I'm going through a tough time. This is a lot. I'm figuring out life as a parent, as a solo parent, without the happily ever after and all the titles and all that crap. So what I want to honor today on this very first episode, it's an intro episode. What I want to honor today is the why I'm here and the why you should stay for more. With a dab, of course. So the why I'm here, 2020, lost all my business to COVID. 2020 was newly separated from my husband. 2020, home with 2 kids, where all the titles that I once believed were what made me me were stripped. And now there's this beautiful, all the layers that came off, right? You peel back all the layers of the onion, and there's this little girl who requires to be rebuilt in the most organic way ever. So instead of crumbling, we pick our big girl pants up, boots up, pants and boots up, and we go one step in front of the other. So what you can expect from this podcast is not all humor, not all mom stuff, but it's hopefully a glimpse into the mental state of women in the world right now, the mental state of mothers in the world right now, and just a place where you can feel connected and seen and heard. Because that's all I really want for this, is for you to listen, to laugh, to smile, to probably cry a little and go, oh my gosh, I am so not alone. There are other people who feel this way and who are willing to admit that they feel this way. Because that's what I'm best at, is just putting it out there. And maybe it's vulnerable, maybe it's funny, but hopefully it finds one person that needed the message in a day. So back to the divorce, fast forward from 2020 to now, and all the things that have happened is went on content, went on TikTok to play around with the app in 2020, and suddenly fell in love with the connection that I had with you all, which was I get to show up as my hot mess self, showing the behind the scenes of motherhood, divorce, pandemic, loss of job, pivot, and then quickly fell in love with using content as my creative outlet. And so I'm here to say this is the beginning of something great. I'm not going to be long-winded because I can't handle long-windedness, not even myself. But I do want to answer a few questions from my Instagram audience today, because I think that should tee us up nicely. And I'm going to invite Ian Brownhill in. He's like, I'm not going to come in the camera because this is your episode. But I mean, Ian, I'm in the studio space because of you. He and I both have Dunkin' partnerships. We're growing together. So Ian and I are on this content creator journey. He's going to be one of my guests at some point very soon. But today he's going to be like the Regis to my Kathy Lee.
Yes.
I said Ryan Seacrest earlier, but Regis and Kath, man.
Yeah.
They're the OGs. So he's going to ask some questions. You can ask me open-ended questions, or we could do it from my thing.
See, this is what I love is that people already just want to say, like, they want to know more about you. Okay. Why don't we start with the divorce stuff? Give a little bit of insight as to your process, your pain, what it felt like, and how you kind of got through it. And maybe not that it was a failure, but kind of what you did to become the super single, powerful woman that you are now, parent online that everyone's gotten to see. Give just a little bit of insight into that.
Divorce is a death that you're grieving every day, but the person's still alive. And it's like the weirdest thing because you don't pay attention to divorce until you're there. When you're married, you're never looking at divorce and being like, oh my gosh, she must be going through a lot. And then when you're in it, you're like, how is everybody not lined up at my doorstep with cookies? Because this is like the worst thing I've ever been through. So the process is all of those phases. What is it? Like there's the steps of grief and, right? Like loss. It's a loss. It's a loss of a dream. It's you're remaking your whole life from scratch because as a little girl, most of us grow up with, all the princess movies and the happily ever afters and all the Disney stuff. We are like, who are we going to marry? What's our wedding going to be like? What's my first dance going to be like? Who's going to be in my wedding party? Like my dream was to become a grown-up who was married and had kids. And now I have to delete all of that as having to be the story because it doesn't have to be. But there's a process to go from that was the story that I've always known to this is my happily ever after 2.0. So it's hard to explain the process, but thank goodness I believe in myself and I've done the self-work and I work out for my mental health and I eat a decent way for my mental health. And it's like all the stuff that I got from being a athlete my whole life is put into play now. It's like show up, game face, you can do this, one foot in front of the other. So I would really say it's showing up for yourself, putting the oxygen mask on mom first so that you can take care of your kids. So you got to take care of yourself first through divorce. And I see a lot of people losing themselves and being down and out for their kids. And that's one thing I wasn't willing to do, was to let their lives be affected.
So what does that mean for you as a co-parent?
My ex asked if he could be my first guest. We were talking about that earlier. And I said, listen, and you want to know honestly what I said to him was, you do not deserve to sit in that seat and look after what I've built, sit in that seat and act like this has been a charismatic, easy thing that we've been building. So what it looks like as a co-parent is you're trying every day. You're going to bed every night thinking, what can I do better for the kids tomorrow? What can I do to be a better co-parent tomorrow? Where am I being too rigid? Where do I need more boundaries? It's just a whole thing. And every day is different. But I think I'm doing all right.
You are.
I think I'm doing all right.
What advice would you give to someone, one of your followers?
Don't make it about your kids. Don't put your shit on your kids. Don't make them feel bad about going to dad's. Don't make them feel bad if dad's family did something with them that you didn't get to do. Celebrate your kids and all the things that bring them happiness and go cry in your pillow by yourself. Leave your kids out of it.
And coming out of the divorce, learning how to co-parent, what is it like being a single mom, having to go back into the dating scene for you? Are you dating? Have you been dating? How long did it take you to start dating again?
Okay.
Walk your followers through the process of how you got back into the saddle when it came to dating.
Yeah. That is one area of my life that I am kind of off limits. Well, not kind of. I'm off limits. I'm not going to talk about that. But I will tell you, I kind of remind myself, what's the movie? There's a few movies. I feel like I'm in my Diane Keaton era.
Gotcha.
Where she's in the movie, and then who's the other?
The one with Jack Nicholson?
Actress. Yes.
Is it Just Go With It?
Something's Gotta Give.
Something's Gotta Give.
One of them.
Just Go With It's another one with
Diane. There's the Diane Keaton one, and then there's the what's her name? and all the kids, Alec Baldwin, and all the
Yeah,
kids
I
grow
think
up
that's
and they
just
get
go
back
with it.
together.
Yeah.
So there's 2 movies where I'm in that Diane Keaton era of I am fully in on raising my kids unapologetically. And I feel like as they grow up, maybe there will be a different phase that they're in that feels open and welcoming to me having that included in our daily lives. But right now, I'm in my Diane Keaton. There is, that I'm going to end up saying
it's
it later.
complicated.
It's complicated.
With Alec Baldwin, it's got John Krasinski in it.
Love. That's me.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Meryl Streep is who you're thinking
That's her. Meryl, I'm sorry that I didn't get your name right.
That's
I love
okay.
that character. And Jeff, my ex, will not be Alec Baldwin. Anyway.
So let's talk a little bit about how you got into. So you gave a little bit of background, but a lot of people are kind of wondering, like, what did you know? How did you know? Excuse me. The next question is when did you know that social media was going to be a career for you?
Love this question because this is like something that my audience can implement into anything in their lives. Is focus. I was doing some brand deals. I was questioning, do I apply to jobs because I need the life insurance, Jesus, because I need the benefits. I need the health benefits. I need the medical coverage. I need the regular W-2 income. And then I was doing that. So I was kind of like, do I consult? I paid a lot of money to get my resume redone and my LinkedIn redone. And during that process, my brother said something to me. He goes, so my brother's now my manager. There's a backstory there. But my brother said, until you commit, it's not going to work. And January of 2023, I said, I am giving myself 6 months to do content all in where I'm going to be irresponsible for 6 months. And I'm going to focus on nothing else work-wise or income-wise. No more resume talk, no more LinkedIn talk. And I went 6 months. And by that 3rd, 4th month, I was like, holy crap, that's when my Instagram blew up. So are you focusing on 1,000 things? Are you focusing on 2 things where really one thing needs your attention? That's my story. And that's how it started.
How do you show up and be seen so authentically on social media while you've also expressed that you deal with being self-conscious? So
I'm self-conscious that I'm going to say the wrong thing or that I'm going to be misinterpreted. And it happens a lot. I could say that I was upset that my daughter was eating so much sugar, and it could be misinterpreted as I'm food shaming or body shaming. So I'm so careful about the way I put things out there. And it's hard to show up authentically when you're like, ooh, in the back of your head, trying to say everything right. And how do I show up authentically? I think what most people don't know about me on camera and my comfort with talking on camera is I was a college professor for 8 years as a visiting lecturer. You show up as an elective professor who's in her early 30s to a bunch of college students who are exhausted and don't want to be in that elective class, and you have to draw attention to the content. 6 to 9 p.m. at UMass Dartmouth. Imagine keeping those kids awake or getting them to come to class. So that required some pizzazz. And then coaching field hockey for 12 years. That is a lot of public speaking. And then being in corporate as a spokesperson for a brand for 7 years. I had a lot of practice, right? And then the VHS days of me going down the with the camcorder down the halls, I've always wanted to capture content in moments. I've always been I always say I'm 80% nostalgic, 20% Italian, because I can't miss a moment. So that's just in my DNA. And I think that's what translates to me on camera authentically.
That's great. Here's another one. How do you feel about being told everyone has the same 24 hours in a day?
I don't know what that means.
Basically, if I had to interpret it, they're asking when someone is in a particular position in their life where they're like, you've got 24 hours, utilize it. Make sure you go to the gym. Make sure you get but they're not a single mom who has to worry about the kids getting to school on the bus. Maybe you were up late because you were helping with homework and now you're sleep deprived and you're trying to manage the best 20. So how does it make you feel when people who don't know what it's like to be in your shoes says, you got the same 24 hours as the next guy? What's the single mom perspective on that?
The Nicki perspective on that is, I'm terrible at time management, but I'm a really fucking happy person. And I put my happiness first most of the time. And I think a happy mom translates to happy kids. And it sounds selfish, right? It probably would have sounded selfish to me a few years ago. And now I'm like, oh, wait, for me to be my own biggest fan in that 24 hours is really important. I hope that my kids are their own biggest fans, as long as they're, include others and all that good stuff that you want your kids to have those traits. But the 24-hour thing to tell an ADHD person who's also a mom that is, I guess you make the most of it. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and organizing my freaking calendar is not one of them. I also put in the time as a really badass corporate woman. So now I'm kind of peeling back in my retirement, my early retirement. So I also feel unapologetic about that. I put in that damn time. Grinded for the big guy. Did that answer the question?
I think so. What is the motivation with this podcast overall? What are you hoping to accomplish and achieve? And what was your inspiration? Also, what were your holdbacks? Because you've been pretty popular for some years now.
Yeah.
What's taken you so long to get here?
It's because I haven't yet heard a podcast that I want to listen to regularly. So that's my motivation, is that I am the place you want to be on your 15-minute out drive to Target and your 15-minute back ride to Target. There's like 30 minutes, 33 minutes we have together. I hope that I'm that escape for people, that happy place. And that also, I don't have a lot of patience for listening to like long drawn out things. So I'm like, let's like get to the point. So if I interview you, I'm going to go right to the meatiest parts of Ian Brownhill. I want to talk about that. So my curiosities, I'm going to bring to my audience, and hopefully they'll find them entertaining, of value. And also at the end of the day, they get to look in the mirror and go, how do I be more Nicki-ish? Because they're holding back being their authentic selves or taking a dive into something that they really should do. So bring a little spunk and a little, that explains all, bring a little of that into other people's lives.
Who's your dream guest? Who
Mel Robbins, love, because she's inspired me. I think Vinny has heard me say Mel Robbins a bunch of times, because Mel Robbins, I want to be somewhere between who Mel is and then, what did I say? Mel and, I'm somewhere in between like Mel and Bethany Frankel, if I had to say, like somewhere in that safe space. But Mel's one of my dream guests. I just think her and I will be BFFs if we meet. So selfishly, it's not about having her on the podcast. It's having us be BFFs. And you know who my other BFF is going to be? Kylie Kelsey.
Okay.
We could rock the field hockey world together. I said what I said. Kylie Kelsey. Oh. She's going to be on it.
Well, you have a lot of support here in a lot of
and Ian Brownhill.
Oh, thank you. You have a lot of people that are more rooting
and Tom
for
Brady.
you, saying good. Oh, that'd be
Tom
great.
Brady's going to like me.
He will.
And I'm not saying
you are saying it like that. Who wouldn't?
No, but I think we like Leo, 1977.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
What are the 3 most important lessons you have learned in the last 3 years?
It is a freaking journey. And all of your feelings matter. And feelings are a beautiful thing. And it's okay to feel like crap, but to know that there's like a way out, and to like less is more. So I know those don't all like technically, it's not 3, but like less is more, like less friendships is okay. Less clothes in your closet is okay. Less choices, like just simplify things so that you could focus on the shit that matters the most to you. Like old times, In the 80s, we weren't like, right? It was in the 80s, it was not about having a million friends. It was about your immediate family. A lot of us in New England grew up down the street from like both grandparents.
Right.
And having your neighborhood friends. And like, it was all about the immediate family. And then the rest were bonuses. And the rest of the people were like invited in because they were super special. That's what I'm trying to get to.
This is a question from me. What is something that...
Abby, I didn't wink at him like that. I just said, sorry.
What is something that you have that you still keep personal and you're vulnerable about that you hope to express and dive into on this podcast so that you can continue to be authentic for your audience?
Sensitive. I'm so sensitive. So sensitive. I'm a total snuggler, snuggly, duggly, bloobly. Like I'm just like I'm like a little kid. But I think life has taught me to be extroverted and confident. And like, luckily my parents taught me well, like how to look at people, how to shake hands, how to treat others, how to talk confidently. Sports has taught me. I mean, my college coach, winningest coach in the game of field hockey, when you're standing at the post and one of your biggest competitors is about to shoot the game-winning potential shot, you look at her like you're going to stop it. And I think that that's what a lot of people don't know about me is I have that game face. I'm the person online that a lot of people are like, you're going to be my BFF. You're so badass. You're so confident. But like below all that is like, we're all the same. We're all these fragile people. I still have my teddy bear from when I was little. And I like put it in the bed near, I'm like, here for my kids. But I'm like deep down, I'm like, Butterball. We're still down. Homeboys.
What was it like to start officially working with Duncan? And can you talk about that experience?
It's like, you know, every Olympian says that there was that one coach or that one person that believed in them. Duncan believed in me. And I'm telling you, like the confidence that they gave me and my ability to look at this could be a lucrative job. This could be a career. This is like this big brand believes in me as one of their creators. Amazing. And they're fun. They let you be fun. They let you be your authentic self. And we got the coffee goods.
We do.
And the donuts. I mean, I got so much clout at my kids' elementary school. I'm like the Duncan mom who will bring like stuff to the secretary's office and like the Duncan cards to the ladies at the drop-off line in the morning. And then like the kids on the bus. In the morning, the kids are all waving at me. I'm like, yeah, kids, Duncan, with my like onesie on.
I think she should make a t-shirt and that's just all it is you on the front like that.
Clout, like I should.
That should be your picture right there.
Yeah, like a nice cartoon one.
That'd be good.
Let's do it. Listen, this is day one, baby. Sky's the limit.
Okay. You have, like I said, a lot of really positive comments in here that people are just giving you a lot of well wishes. Good luck. When did you know social media was going to be a career? We kind of answered that.
Yep.
Maybe this is more...
what are we at for time?
You're at 25 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Do you want to do another... try and find
like
another
one
question?
more, and then I'll close out with like what to expect ahead.
Okay. Let's see. This is going to be an advice one. Back to the divorce stuff. What advice or how would you suggest co-parenting when your ex was being very nasty in court? We're all over the place.
I'm going to go
with
back
this.
to field hockey analogy.
Go for it.
My coach used to tell us if there is a team that is crashing into you, she'd say, what works better, rock on rock or water around rock? Water around rock. So I had to fire my first, shout out, you know who you are. She's going to watch this. I had to fire you because you were too aggressive for me. I had to fire my first attorney because she wanted to go rock against rock. And it was not authentically me. Every day I had anxiety because it was a fight against a fight against a fight. And when I hired my next attorney who was able to bring this home in a really classy way, it was like, here are the things I care about. Here are the things I don't. Here are the things that I'm not doing well with in this process. And we were able to take me as a human and put it into play, into court. And I feel like that's what made everything finalized. So you don't have to crash like fire against fire, gasoline with fire. So did that answer that?
It did. What advice would you give to anyone that would want to start a social media career?
Be interesting at something. I mean, I think there's a lot of YouTube channels that are like, you can do social media no matter who you are. And the truth of the matter is, like, not everybody's going to land it. Not everybody's going to land the plane, and that's okay. You got to be funny or hot or interesting or like have information or something that's quirky. Like, you got to have an it factor in some way, shape, or form. So if you've got that, and you make, I mean, we've seen people make rugs for Duncan, right? Like a person who's, is it crocheting or knitting? What's that? There's an art of like rug making. I've seen a person who has a passion for making small area rugs or small welcome mats into this crazy viral page because they're willing to share the behind the curtain of some of the mess. And the behind the curtain of like the perfect rug that they made for Duncan, and then Duncan put it on their page. So I think it's just like, show up, do your talent. If it lands, great. If it doesn't right away, keep trying. And you've got to be willing to fail and fail and fail and use it as your flame. I failed a million times on these apps. Couldn't even tell you or remember one of them because we're here now with this good stuff.
So then what are your plans for the rest of this podcast?
Is to just have an upbeat, easy to listen to weekly launch. Once a week, 33 minutes with Nicki. It will be fun. It will be happy. And it will be true. So I'm just excited to have
from everywhere.
Variety. I mean, like, I just think what's unique is this: some people that have big names already and some people that I know that no one else knows, and I can't wait to like give them the spotlight because I know what they've brought to my life. So I have no full out plan, but I know it's going to be my stamp of approval on it.
And it's going to be on what platforms?
Spotify, Apple, YouTube.
Nicki Unplugged.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Unplugged with Nicki Marie.
Unplugged with Nicki Marie.
Yeah, is that?
There we go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Hopefully sponsored by Duncan. Duncan, call me. Okay. Love you guys.